And then kind of we've seen students, as the economy's gotten worse, unable to pay their bills as well as they had been before. Also, we've just seen fewer people able to attend college just because they can't afford it. And so our thesis statement would look something like this. ABC College, a high-performing institution until the recent tuition increase, sinks further and further into debt and lower student performance numbers because of the juxtaposition of the increasing costs of running an educational institution with the students' inability to pay for coursework. So, we touch on the event itself, touch on the effects real briefly in that thesis statement, but really you can tell from that thesis statement we're going to spend most of our time talking about the costs of running the school and students not being able to pay their bills. So there's three main techniques that you use with a cause-effect essay. The first technique is going to be establishing logical relationships. Every time you talk about a cause or an effect, you have to justify why it is a cause or an effect, and justify why it's not just coincidence. Essentially, you're trying to avoid hoc fallacy, which means that, just because something follows something else, that it would be an effect. That's not necessarily so. So you want to explain why something would be an effect or why something would be a cause. So this gets into kind of our second point here, thorough and clear discussion. For just about every example you're going to give 2, 3 sentences, 4 sentences even of explanation, because you want to thoroughly explain why each example is a cause or is an effect, and how it ties into your overall point, your thesis statement. So it's very heavy on explanation. So you're going to want to use techniques such as repetition, and this could be repeated words that you're using kind of throughout the piece to kind of trigger your reader to realize, oh, okay, this ties into what they said before. Or even repeating arguments, reminding readers outright of what you had said previously. You do want to have an argument progression. You want to start with kind of your weakest argument and work up to your strongest argument. And you do want to kind of guide the reader from like minor causes all the way up to your major causes, or minor effects all the way up to your major effects. And continually remind them how these things are causes, how these things are effects, and how this all ties into your main point. You're going to want to use transition words to kind of help your reader in doing this. So, if you're talking about causes, you want to use words like because and accounting for, or the basis of, the foundation of, the genesis of, the motivating factor, the root, source. When we're talking about effects, we want to use words like consequence, development, outcome, product, result, aftermath, response, upshot, and reaction. So what you're doing there is you're sort of indicating to your readers, so as they're going along, they're saying, oh, okay, we're talking about the causes right now, or, oh, okay, we're talking about the effects right now. And so every time you're talking about causes, or every time you're talking about effects, so you not just want to have this relationship going on, but you also want to kind of go from your minor causes to your major causes, and your minor effects to your major effects. So we want to guide the reader through that transition as well, using words like minor or lesser, seemingly negligible, or secondary, or trivial, or something like that, to talk about small effects, or indirect effects or causes. And then words like major, or significant, or main, or importantly, or uppermost, or dominant, or primary for the most important points or arguments that we make. So, here's your choices for the cause and effect essay that you're going to be writing for this course. You can choose one of these following events or situations. And for each of these, you can choose what I've listed or kind of the opposite of it. That's what it is, or not. So the first one, for instance, is obtaining a high GPA, meaning, student receiving A's and B's on a report card. Or, you could do the topic of a student receiving poor marks, mostly D's or F's on our report card. So that's what that means by or not. So let's say we choose that topic, and we're going to write about the causes. We're going to focus on causes of obtaining a high GPA. So we might start our essay with, just talking about receiving a report card with high marks and how a student might feel and how proud a student might be of him or herself for obtaining those marks. The family might feel, the encouragement a student might kind of experience towards their ultimate goal of obtaining a college degree or getting into a certain profession. And then we spend a little bit of time talking about the effects. So perhaps a high GPA may lead to a scholarship or to getting into a particular school or program that the student's wanting to get into, or recognition of some kind that's going to look good on a resume. But we're going to spend most of our essay really talking about the effects, or the causes, sorry. Spend most of our essay talking about the causes. So we're going to spend most of our essay talking about how this student obtained that high GPA for that term. So we're going to talk about everything the student did to do that. So we really just going to boil down to study habits. We're going to talk a lot about perhaps just attendance, that the student was always there and there on time and stayed for the whole class period in all their classes, that they made it primary goal number one just to be in class and be on time, and to stay after and ask a few questions, and that was always primary in their mind no matter what else came up in their life, and they could have had a whole bunch of other situations, but they always made that a priority. Perhaps they were always very active in class too, so maybe they sat in the front of the room, they took notes on everything the professor said, they would ask questions from those notes. When in group work, they would try to take a leadership role in the group